Good evening. My name is Mr. Maradkel, and I am your child's English teacher this year. Such a pleasure to welcome you back to school here on Back to School Night. Of course, it should be said that we would prefer to be face to face and to see you on the campus, but hopefully we will get an opportunity to do that soon. In this video, I will endeavor to tell you a little bit about myself, my educational philosophy, and a little bit about our class. And of course, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those questions via email and also in a question and answer session, which I'll tell you about towards the end of the video. Well, a little bit about myself. Who am I? I'm an immigrant. I was born in Syria and I immigrated to the United States when I was 6 years old. I'm originally from Chicago. I moved to California 23 years ago when I was 24. That makes me 47. Basic math there for me. I'm a teacher. Let's see, I've been teaching, this is my 11th year. So I've been teaching 7 years at the junior high level and 3 years at a high school, at Golden Valley High School in Santa Clarita. And I'm also a writer. I love the art of storytelling and especially writing screenplays. I'm a filmmaker before I became a teacher 11 years ago. I was in the film industry as a writer, and my aspiration was to become a writer director. But then I found something that I love as much as movies and writing, and that's becoming a teacher of writing. So I went back to school and got my master's in teaching, and here I am. And I love teaching, and which you'll be able to tell. Lastly, I'm a Christian, and the reason I always mention that is I believe my faith does enable me to treat people of all backgrounds with kindness, respect, honesty, love, and grace. And I hope that's what your students, your children see in me, because it's exactly what I want to portray to them. That someone who treats others with respect, regardless of race, religion, or background. I love my students equally. A little bit about my personal life. So I'm married to my wife, Benita. We've been married for 14 years. That's her right there. And we have one son, Maruil. He'll be 9 in about a week, actually. And he attends West Creek Academy, and he's a third grader. And we lived in Chino Hills for 10 years, and then moved to Santa Clarita only 4 years ago. So I'm fairly new to the Santa Clarita area, but we love it here so far. Hobbies and interests, just some right there for you: reading, writing, movies, traveling. Favorite foods: gyros, pad thai, pizza, pasta, just the basics that I like. If you own a Mediterranean restaurant and you can serve up gyros, that's extra credit for your child. Just kidding. That's not extra credit. I don't have any extra credit in my class, as you'll find out shortly. I like to joke around, as you'll find out shortly as well. Favorite restaurants, there they are: In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A. I actually worked at a Chick-fil-A for 3 years while I was going back to school to become a teacher. Red Robin, Olive Garden. Favorite sports, I love sports. I grew up in Chicago, so obviously a lot of the Chicago teams. But I love watching boxing, football, basketball. Favorite sports teams are still the Chicago team. I guess I'm still a Chicago guy at heart, even though I've been out here for, like I said, about 23 years. Okay, so now to the important part with regards to my educational journey. So I immigrated to the United States at age 6. English is not my first language. I began first grade. My mother actually begged the principal to put me in kindergarten. The principal refused, and I began first grade. She walked home and she cried the whole way home, and she wondered how this 6-year-old kid who didn't speak a word of English would survive in the educational system in a public school in Chicago. Well, here I am. At this point, you're probably afraid because I'll be teaching your children English. So, what happened between age 6 to age 47? Well, that's my educational journey. The first couple years of school were very difficult. I would say first, second, and third grade were extremely difficult. I got C's and D's mostly in most of my elementary school experience. But what was important is that I improved every year and I got to know a lot about reading every year. And so by the time I got to third and fourth and fifth grade, I was beginning to read chapter books. I was still, I would say, a very average student, a lot of C's on the report card. For you, that might sound familiar with some of your children. So here's what happened to me. In sixth grade, I got a little bit better. But in seventh grade, I walked into a classroom. Ironically, I'm a seventh grade teacher, and I kid you not, I walked into a classroom of my seventh grade teacher, and his name was Donald Charles Jones. Uh, Tall gentleman, African American, bald, long beard. And that man, he changed my life forever. And he changed my life because he believed in me. And he changed my life because he believed and saw something in me that at the time, being very timid, very shy, and average grades, I did not see in myself. That man changed my life, and I became a straight A student. More importantly, I became a confident student. And more importantly than that, I learned about the value of learning and education. After that, eighth grade was a breeze. High school, I was a 3.7 GPA student. College, in my first 4 years of college, I had one B, 3.9 GPA. Now, keep in mind, this is an immigrant who didn't speak a word of English. And all of a sudden, my life changed in seventh grade. Let's see, my degrees. I have a bachelor's degree in film video from Columbia College Chicago. I have a master's in teaching from Biola University, as well as my teaching credential. And I also have a certificate in teaching writing from Cal State San Bernardino. So obviously, I believe in the power of education because I've lived it. I believe that education is the great equalizer. I believe no matter where you come from, what background, what um, town you grow up in, what race you are, what background your family comes from. I believe education, if done correctly, can be an equalizer. Education is about becoming a lifelong learner, is what I've learned, and becoming a productive citizen who contributes to our society. Education is not an obligation, and as soon as our students realize that, it takes the burden off of them because it's no longer an obligation. It's no longer a burden. It's an opportunity and a blessing. Big difference. Education consists of just little stop signs along the journey. One for me was my seventh grade teacher, then had several other teachers that made a difference. But I look at like every grade as like a stop sign. You stop, you acquire knowledge, you learn about the content, you learn about yourself, and then you move on to the next stop sign. So I don't think very highly of myself. I think I'm just a stop sign in your children's life, but I think it's an important stop sign, and I hope they learn a lot from me because I know I plan to learn a lot from them as well. Let's see, education empowers you to achieve great things. I truly believe that, and I think not I think I know that without education I wouldn't have achieved the things that I have. And then finally, the word success gets thrown around a lot in the educational circles as well as in our society. But please allow me to give you the best definition that I've ever heard of success. Now, this is from John Wooden, a famous and successful coach at UCLA. Success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self satisfaction in knowing you did your best to become the best that you're capable of becoming. See, it's easy to say, I did my best. It's easy for your children to say, I did my best. It's easy for parents to say, I've done my best. It's easy for teachers to say, look, they just don't want to learn. I did all I can. As soon as we say, I did my best and we really didn't, we should pause. And for our students, they should pause. This year, I plan to get the best out of these students. And the best means the best that they can do. If they can put their head on the pillow every night and they say, I did the best that I could to become the best that I can become, then we're going to be successful this year. And I'm confident we can do that. Okay, and then why does it matter? Well, I always end with this slide, and that's my son right there. So there he is, West Creek Academy. I think that was last year or the year before, maybe even. But that's him right there, Maruyo. And in the picture in the middle, he's right there behind the bars. Unfortunately, sometimes kids look at our schools and our system as like a prison. Not in my classroom. In my classroom, they're valued. In my classroom, they have a voice. In my classroom, they're young adults, and that's what I learned in seventh grade, and that's what from my mentor, and that's what I plan, to do for them. In short, I plan to be for them what he was to me in seventh grade, and I hope I get there, and I know I can. Um, so the reason I put this as like a slide, one of my last slides, is because this is going to sound, fairly cliche, possibly, or maybe even disingenuous, but I truly mean it. And as you get to know me and your children get to know me, you'll realize that it's true. I want for my child, who you see on the screen, the same thing I want for your children. What is that? To be happy, to be successful, to learn, to grow, to produce good grades, but more importantly, to soak up the knowledge and grow both academically and personally. And I trust that that's what you want as well. All right, final slide. So some contact information and reminders. The best place to contact me is my email. I check my email every hour. It's smaradkel@heartdistrict.org. The best place to check assignments, I would say, is Google Classroom. Now, most of you have probably managed to navigate through Google Classroom. But one way I found that's successful for parents, for some parents, is to download the Google Classroom app on your phone, your smartphone, have your child log into the account from the phone, turn the notifications on, and then every time there's an assignment that we do, you'll get a notification that we have the assignment. And that's a great way to do it because otherwise you won't know when something is assigned and you won't know that your child maybe missed the assignment until you see it on the grade in the grade book. Speaking of grades, the best place to check grades is Infinite Campus. Infinite Campus, I would say you and your child should check it at least once or twice a week. I input grades maybe once or twice a week, not more than that. Um, but yeah, so Google Classroom for assignments, Infinite Campus for grades. Best characteristics of a high achieving student. Well, I've been a teacher for 11 years, and I like to tell my students that grades are important, but they're not the most important thing. Now, let me explain that before they misinterpret what I say, and maybe you do as well. I believe that students should be high achieving. I believe that students should get straight A's. But there are two ways to go about that. Number one is the way where we put so much pressure on them that they begin to hate school and they begin to feel anxiety. And then that method backfires. Maybe you've experienced that. The second way, which I prefer, is to put positive pressure on, to tell them we believe in them, to hold them accountable, to push them to the max, to know that they're supported, but at the same time to know that we won't settle for anything less than the definition of success that I told you earlier. I want their best. I am extremely confident that their best will result in an A. So I'll get them the A, but I'm going to get it to them in the way that I just mentioned. Now, speaking of A's, if you want to ask me, well, you've been a teacher 11 years, Mr. Maradkel. What are the characteristics of a high achieving student? Because no matter what you say, Mr. Maradkel, I still want my child to get A's. No problem. Here are the three that I've noticed. Every single A student, high achieving student, has a genuine desire to get that A. They have a genuine desire to push. They have a genuine desire to go above and beyond. Like an athlete, they have that Mamba mentality, as Kobe would like to say. They're hungry, they're putting in the work. You ask them to write one page, they write a page and a half. You ask them to write 2 pages, they write 3. They have no mercy. They're aggressive. Number two, A students are very organized. They don't turn in late work. They know when to turn the Xbox off. They know when to get the job done. Now that we're online and doing the online learning, it's extremely important in the afternoon to have some type of structure to break bad habits and build good habits. The A students master this. And then finally, the skill set. Every A student knows the content. They know grammar, they know how to write, they know analysis, they know critical thinking, they know all the basics, and even more than the basics of the content area. So they have the skill set. That's it. So what will I teach your students this year? I will fan the flames of their desire. I will teach them how to organize themselves and build good habits. And I will teach them the content area known as English, reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And it is my hope with all those three that not only will you have an A student, but more importantly, you'll have a student that's improved from last year, and that this will be the best academic year of their lives. Well, one last offer for you. I feel really bad that we have to do this on a recorded video, uh, segment here. I know it's what the situation now calls for. However, I want to make you an offer because if I were a parent, and I am, I would want a teacher to make this offer as well. If you don't want to just listen to a video, which is what you're doing now, and you want to actually talk to me live, I will make myself available tomorrow. So Friday, September 4th at 2 p.m. Okay? So we will do a live question and answer with Mr. Maradkel tomorrow, Friday, September 4th at 2 p.m. I would love it if you could be there. I know it's an awkward time in the middle of the day, but I'm gonna devote that time to you because you deserve it, and so do your children. So a live question and answer. there are no questions, no dumb questions, no questions I'm not willing to answer. I'd like to tell you more about desire organization skills. I'd like to tell you more about what I believe is the proper way to teach. There's the Zoom code right there, the link and also the ID and the code. I will post this information on Google Classroom, and I'll send this email to you as well. Again, no pressure. I know people work. I know there are other things going on. But if you want to pop in, we'll be there between 2 and 3 o'clock. I'll be answering questions. Your students are also welcome to join you on that Zoom. And I hope to see you then. And if I don't see you then, I look forward to seeing you when we're back on campus. And I'll end with this. I end each class by telling your children that I love them. And it's something that maybe teachers don't always do. And it's something that, again, might sound a little bit cliche or disingenuous, but I do. I love them like I love my own child. I want for them what I want for him. So that's me in a nutshell. And that's what we're going to do for 10 months. Well, 9.5 months now. But so I'll leave you with that. And again, thank you for listening, and look forward to getting to know you and most importantly, your child even more. Take care. Love you all.